while I have been kind of absent from Skype and doing phone calls, do you want me to start with those things, or do y'all want an update on the Bundy case?
Well, you were about to talk about the Bundy case and the new notices that went in and what happened with those.
Okay, all right. So we'll talk about the Bundy case for a minute. Okay, so the last time that I did a recorded call, I was still in Oregon. I don't know how much details you guys want, but there was some commotion there, and I'm not going to go into any details about it, but I felt very strongly compelled that at that point what I was doing could be done from Texas, and I could go back, to my home and my family, and still do that from still be a service. So
you're breaking up a little bit.
Oops. Okay, so I returned to Texas. Upon arriving, now let me tell you what happened before, where we left off last time, was I had just billed a federal judge, which of course everybody freaked out. Robin, you did put that up on Skype, right, for everybody to see?
Yep, that bill was posted. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So that's good, because I want you guys to really pay attention to, if you've seen one of my earlier bills, if you can compare them, you'll see a huge leap, okay? It's a process. I think we should always be tightening our screws down, and really, most importantly, especially if you're gonna bill a federal judge, a lot of caution. So right just before I left Oregon, I had someone serve Judge Jones, with a bill. Now, it was marked private on the outside of the envelope. So this was a private correspondence with him, and if y'all have seen it, there are count 1, count 2, and count 3, I believe. Anyway, count 1 is just a balance forward, which was 0, so it didn't apply to him, so only count 2, count 3. But the verbiage and basically the disclaimers on there are to protect me, okay? So, and it's not put into the public sector, okay? So marking it private, that way they can't come back and say you put this into the public, okay? So they can't really retaliate. Now, of course they can. What happened, Robin, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, I got to ask you this, because it gets really quiet while people are listening. Just because the calls drop so frequently now, if you can just give some sort of signal there, that way I don't look down and realize I got kicked off 30 minutes ago.
Okay, so say that again if...
Yeah, just check in with me. Just okay, or just give me something that I can hear some sort of a feedback. Because
I'll give you
sudden,
verbal cues.
I've been talking for 10 minutes, and is anybody there? So anyway, what happened was, after I had them this particular person go and serve him with this bill, there was court a couple days later. Now, there wasn't any reason for me to be in court other than, moral support. And Ryan would, as soon as he would get back to Multnomah County Detention Center, he would call me, and he would want to know, okay, what was right and what was wrong. But the thing is that I chose not to go that morning. One was because I was working with 2 of our Skype people on Brent's counterclaim. Okay, And the other thing is I wanted the increased security measures at the court that since that would be the first time since I billed him. I wanted to see if there was any reaction. Okay? Well, what happened was they trapped my sister, who actually looks a lot like me, by the way. Not too much. It's not like they mistook her for me, but they, Lisa Ludwig knew that was my sister. So anyway, they actually entrapped her and told her that arrest tried to. The whole thing turned out to be a scam, but it kind of gave us a little scare. So anyway, there was a reaction, but here's the thing: is that the way that bill is done, I was 98% certain there was nothing that they could do with regards to that bill. Okay. So anyway, a little time goes by, and what I realized is I started wanting to get home, and that was unusual because I was very content to be in Oregon. There was a little storm there that was separate from. Well, it was related to Bundy's, but it was a very separate issue. But so I started thinking I need to go home. So I go home, and lo and behold, what they have done, and this is a little bit of a sidetrack off of the Bundy case, but it's relative. Lo and behold, the day I get back to Texas, I get summoned to appear in court in Lubbock, in Texas, for one of the 4 charges that they had made up against me and dropped from private sector administrating. Okay, so what happened is they drug one of those up. Okay, now this was within, this wasn't a couple weeks. This was within less than 10 days of me billing that federal judge, which tells me there's nothing they could do about that bill. But it appears that they found out about the previous stuff and probably threw some weight around and revived a case that was dead 8 months prior. Are you there, Robin?
Yep. Yeah, and I think I've heard Carl talk about, if you get a case dismissed, they can come back and bring it up anytime they want. Mm. So you really need to go for the discharge versus dismissal.
Right.
Yep.
So this is where things get interesting. Okay, is someone that I had met in Oregon. They had called me after I got to Texas, and I told them what had happened. I was just outraged, and I was like, "This is a breach of contract." And anyway, this guy told me, he said, "You know what?" He said, "I know somebody who lives in West Texas. You should call him." So I did. I talked to this guy. I'm like, holy cow, he's brilliant. Now, this guy started with the common law stuff. He did all this scrambling around and did a manufacturer's declaration or whatever. He's done a lot of stuff and never found any success with it, which intrigued me. Now, what he did was he started learning their rules, which fascinated me, which is because that's what I've been saying. Let's just learn their rules, and let's just use them to break their rules to break their back. Well, so that's what I've been busy doing, is learning how. But here's the thing, is that that as man, we don't motion and we don't ask and we don't request, right? Because then you lose jurisdiction and you lose your sovereignty. You just handed it right over. So it's kind of tricky, but this takes us back to the Bundy case where Ryan had asked me, okay, I know how to protect the man, but how do I protect the person? Okay? So so Ryan had put me in a spot where I'm like, okay, well, let's figure this out. So what I came upon was the assumed name. We never registered it. Okay, my name is Julie. I don't have a name. Excuse me. I've been using the name Julie Embry. Okay, and before that, I was using Julie whatever. Okay, now I never registered that, but that's the name. That's the assumed name that I use to go into commerce and deal with fiction. Okay, but I never registered it. I never gave it good standing. I never said, I'll use that, thank you. So there's somebody out there that somebody had, hey, you got to look at this. I don't have time to listen to him. Just tell me. And so he said, okay, you just go on the Secretary of State for Minnesota. The only one that you can do, that you can register a assumed.
Okay, so you're saying in Secretary of State, Minnesota, that's the only place you can register the name online?
And so that would be the name that would match my birth certificate, okay? So that would be the one that really the SESQE has on it too, okay? So I went ahead and registered that, which makes me the registered name holder, okay? So now I have separated the two, but I also did Julie Embry because that's an assumed name. I wasn't given that name. That's an assumed name. So what I did was I went ahead and registered both names. I'm the registered name holder. I'm not the owner. I'm not the creator. I'm the one registered to use it. Okay? Now, nobody can use it for a profit unless they register it. Well, they can't register it because it's already registered to I. Okay? So that's what I did with the assumed name Ryan Bundy. Okay? So the assumed name Ryan Bundy is registered to Ryan and myself. Now, we're the only two that can use that name for a profit or for anything. Okay? So now let's look at this. In Oregon, they are prosecuting the name. They're charging the name for a profit. Okay? For extortion and unjust enrichment. So I had done that. I had this badass answer for this case in Lubbock. Okay? And I was pretty damn proud of it. And what I realized was, they almost had me. I almost gave them evidence. And this is why we say nothing. Okay? This is a balance thing. But
you're breaking up a little bit again. So how did they almost have you?
Well, because we're walking this very, very, very fine high wire line, I should say. Okay? This tightrope that we're walking. We can't say anything because we're going to give them evidence if we do. But we can't say nothing, right? There has to be a way to say nothing and say something. It's beautiful, okay? So how do you say something without saying anything? Okay.
Carl says put it on paper.
That is a statement. That is saying something. What are you going to put on paper? This is why he says ask questions, okay? You don't state anything. You don't say anything, okay? You've got to stick to those questions. Well, how do you get standing in there so that they don't say, I want a psych eval on her, put her in cuffs, take her off to the hospital, put her in there for 10 days or 30 days or whatever, or put her in this cage, right? How do you get standing? Well, they're prosecuting the name, so show them the name. Why are you using this name? Because it's registered to me. I'm the registered name holder. Now, this is where it gets tricky. I've watched this old man in a video thing where he tried to pull this off, okay? Now, he was using, he's the settler, and you are. Everything he said is true and correct, except for when they asked him questions, and he tried to answer the questions. That's where he faltered because he didn't know what he was doing, okay? So here's the thing. They say you own nothing, right? That house is not yours. That's why you owe a property tax, because you've been using their house, okay? It's a use tax, okay? They say you don't own that car because you registered it to them. It's theirs, okay? And by the way, you registered it as a commercial vehicle. So you are in commerce if you have those tags. Now, they say that you don't own that car, that they do, okay? So how about we just accept that for value? And we say, you're right. You're right. I don't own that. In fact, I own nothing. I have dominion over everything, but I own nothing. I make no claim to ownership of anything. You're right. The name owns everything, okay? And I'm the name holder. So basically, the picture I want to paint for you guys is that I have an expense account. I get to use petty cash. I get to pay its bills, okay? But I'm not surety for it. I don't accept liability. But if you can verify the alleged debt or the alleged count, you can get what it has if you can verify it according to the titles. Now you've brought them into 15, 26, and HJR 192. Okay, but what you have to do is make very clear that I'm not surety and I don't accept liability. So what are you accusing this name of? Okay, so it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, but you better know what you're doing. Okay, so
it sounds a little bit like the creditors in commerce stuff. Mm-hmm. The Brandon Alexander and
I don't know what you're talking about, but the verbiage sounds right.